I'm Duncan Ferguson and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome to Toffee TV as we look forward to Everton's trip to the Hawthorns Monday night. Hate Monday night games, let's just get that out the way. I hate them. Messes with our recording schedules, Baz. It's no good. Weird one this, because I looked at the table and just realised West Brom are only a point behind us. They've actually had a decent start to the season, I suppose. 2 wins, 2 defeats and 2 draws, I think. So they're doing all right, I suppose. You know, last season Tony Pulis dragged them away from that relegation zone, and I suppose they've started off in what, you know, a mid-table team would sort of consider a decent start, especially with all the Berahino stuff as well.
Done well. Won a filler, didn't he, to move up the table. Yeah. We should have won at Swansea, so they would be only a point behind us. But no, you're right, it's been a steady start for them. You know, we've been quite pleased with our start, so they'll be delighted, I'm sure, with what's gone on, especially, like you say, they were very similar to us in terms of having, you know, we had the John Stone stuff, they had the Berahino stuff. One player conducted himself fantastically well, and the other one just conducted himself, didn't he? So,
and comes back and scores the winning goal in a derby, and it's, as we always say, it's all forgiven.
That's what football is, isn't it? It's an opportunity to right a few wrongs, and he's a goal scorer, he will get goals. This is a horrible game. It's a horrible Monday night fixture that's been on a few times, and there's always been absolute pants. Now, traditionally, when you think back, we haven't done that well there, but obviously we won there last year, didn't we? When Lukaku scored Morales. I can remember a 2-1 win there when McGibbon scored late on, and I remember a Nietzsche one there, but more often than not it's been draws between the two. And this is another, it's one of those where you look at it and you think, it's a game we can win. And to be honest with you, if we want to enjoy a season where we're up fighting for the European places, it's a game we have to win. Because we've got Liverpool, we've got United, we've got Arsenal coming up after this. So
there's no point going there playing well and getting a point and going, well, we got a point. Like we said about the Swansea game, you go somewhere and you play well, you've got to get the 3 points in the Premier League. There's no point playing well and missing opportunities and just going, well, it wasn't our day. You've got to win those games. I mean, you know, Reading, not great quality, but we went there, we turned it round, we got the win. We've got to, you know, if we do play better in the team, we've got to win those games. It's going to be tough though. I mean, I'm just looking at the team, the way they've got them set up. They've got playing with 5 in midfield. You know, they've got Rondon up front, who, you know, they spent a lot of money on as well. So, you know, the likes of Morris and Jakob, Fletcher, they're packing the midfield. That you know what they're trying to do in there. They obviously brought in Johnny Evans at the back as well. They spent a little bit of money. They're obviously trying to get themselves away from the relegation zone and try and get themselves in that mid-table section of the league and try and sit in the Premier League for as long as they can. Because I think they're an established Premier League team now, aren't they? So it is all kicking on now, and obviously with a manager like Tony Pulis, he knows how to win these games. He knows how, well, maybe not these games, but he knows how to stifle teams. He knows how to, stop, let's say, better football teams from playing. But you know, I think we've just got to go there, and we've got to. I'm positive we'll make chances against them. We've just got to put them away. I don't think this game's going to have a lot of goals in it, but I think, you know, it's up to us to take our chances. Because when you look at their team, I'm not terrified. Berahino's a good player, but he's one of them. You know, he's inconsistent. He did score a lot of goals last season, especially at home. But you know, he has patches of form rather than always being in form. So it's going to be interesting. You know, they've got McLean on the other side. They've obviously got
like McManaman on the bench and people like that who got players. Yeah, I mean, look, Tony Pulis,
Ricky Lambert as well on the bench.
Great. You know, Tony Pulis he's always going to have his side organised. He's always going to be difficult to break down. 5 in midfield, you know, and try and make it a 3 at times with Berahino going in alongside Rondon. But you know, it's like you just said there, they're all workman-like players. They're gonna put the graft in. We've got to make sure we take our chances when they come along. Yeah. I think we've got to be looking to stretch them. I think it makes sense for me to put Aaron Lennon in there instead of Kone, because I think he can stretch them going the other way. Obviously, Lukaku's going to have to, you know, he scored there last year with an absolute cracking goal. I know, and he's done very well at that ground for them, for West Brom. So hopefully he can get on the end of something for us.
He's got to, hasn't he, really? Because, you know, if we win a third game, without, I mean, he's only scored in one Premier League game and he's obviously scored in the League Cup against Barnsley. But if he goes another game without scoring and without having a good performance, then, you know, questions will be asked because, you know, we keep saying it on every show, we should have bought another striker. But, you know, if you've got Kone there, if you've got Naismith, you're going to have to start using them. Because if he isn't putting the ball in the back of the net and he isn't playing well, then what's he doing?
Don't forget they're going to have a defensive reshuffle because Evans come in, he's got injured, hasn't he? So he's struggling whether he's going to be fit or not. They're not sure. So Brom has got to take his chances. He's got to, because I don't think it's healthy for anybody. And we said this about Tim Howard a few seasons, or last season even. I don't think it's healthy for any player to be guaranteed his place. You know, I know there's players who you look and you go, don't really want to do without him. Don't really want to do without John Stones. There's a question mark over him now. We don't really want to do without James McCarthy because he gives us that energy in midfield. You know, Lukaku's got to make himself, you know, unmissable really. We've got to be looking at him thinking, he's playing that well and scoring that many goals. We can't be without him. Yeah. At the moment, if you got the team sheet and his name wasn't on, he's on the bench, you'd kind of go, yeah, I can see why he's not playing today. He's not, because he's not doing enough. People will shout and scream. People like to say about chances, we don't create chances for him. He had 4 at Swansea, you know, and in some games you'll get 1.
But he is the type of player, though, that will turn it round by scoring a ridiculous goal in a very tight game, isn't he?
I'm not writing him off, because I still think he'll get 20 goals for Everton this season, because he's got that talent, he's got that ability, he's a goal scorer, but it doesn't mean because you've got that performance levels can drop. I don't mind Brom not scoring goals if he's knocking defenders out the way, if he's creating chances for other people, if he's buying players time by keeping hold of it and bullying. He's not done any of that in the last few weeks.
But it's also about having that alternative, isn't it? It's also about having it. If he's not playing well, looking to the bench and going, right, we can bring on whoever, Kone, if we need to. But it's having him on the bench, isn't it? You know, if he's not on the bench, you know, if he's starting out wide, then you haven't got that option. And I think that's what Roberto Martinez has got to start looking at.
It's a big problem because if your only other alternate is playing in the team and he's playing wide right, you're taking away. It's a bit unfair on Coney. I've said it before. We're going to judge him on goals as a centre forward because that's literally what he is. Do you know what I mean? So if you're playing him wide right and he's not really getting any chances to score because he's stuck wide, so he's running up and down, he's winning headers, he's trying to link up, and he's not doing anything. We're going to look and go, it's another game since he scored another game. But Lukaku then has got no one to replace him with. If Kone's coming on with half an hour to play, because Rom hasn't done the business and going straight down the middle, he might get on the end of things. But it's, you know, we can go on about this all the time. You know, we've only got 2 centre forwards in the squad. Whether Naismith can do that on his own, we don't know. He's certainly a good finisher. Is he strong enough to go and play as a 1? I'm not sure. But this is the kind of game that Naismith would thrive in, really, because it's a game where it's going to be niggly. It's going to be physical. It's going to be a battle. You know, he wasn't involved at Reading, so therefore maybe the manager will think, right, okay, we'll put him back in wide left. So I would like to see Lennon come in wide right if that's going to be the case. Definitely. I don't want to see 2 centre forwards playing either side of Lukaku because a bit has gone from their game, and I think
I'd definitely get Lennon into the side and drop Koning onto the bench. I'd probably leave Delafeu on the bench for now as well, especially with it being an away game, bringing them on with half an hour to go, having that little bit of extra something, exposing players when they're, you know, a bit tired in the game. And that makes more sense to me than throwing Delafeu into the start, maybe not having a good game from the outside, and then him maybe, you know, he hasn't played a lot of Premier League games, 90 minutes, so that he might start to decline as the game goes on. Rather, you want it the other way around, where he comes on and he's having a right go with somebody.
I think he's the thing with Delafeu is we're still, even though he's getting better at running the other way, I still look at him as if he's more effective at home. And I think if we protect him properly and give him that last 25 minutes, when it can't be 10 minutes because it takes 10 minutes for you to get into a game. Yeah. So therefore, if you're giving him 25 minutes as they're getting tired, like you say, he could be that little explosive run cross and we score from it. And then you keep him back then for the home games, because I think with the crowd behind him and it's natural to push on at home, that'll help get the best out of Delafeu as well.
And I think with Lennon, he obviously keeps that shape. He works back. We don't know who's going to be playing behind him at the moment. There's no word on Seamus Coleman, whether he's going to be fit. I can only presume at the moment he's not going to be fit. You know, You know, so you would like to think Branningan will continue at right back, and I think having Lennon in front of him will give us a lot more. It gives us a lot more, you know. Craft is the word, yeah. Got more craft, but he works back as well. He gets forward. He's got that pace. He's not going to be, you know, you look at Coney. Coney might start in position, might have to be 10 yards further back than Lennon sometimes, just because Lennon's pace is, you know, because he's so fast. But I think it's about time we did that anyway. You can't persist with Coney on that side. And it's not just because we're not saying Coney's been rubbish. It's just the fact that we've got players who can play in that position. You know, that's Lennon's position. And we're suffering up front, and we need an alternative. And Coney's got to be that alternative. Now, whether that's off the bench, then fine. But he's got to be the alternative.
It's natural people, you know, players in, you know, square pegs in square holes, basically, isn't it? That's what we need to get back to. Everyone in the rightful position. There's no point having, I know Morales is now suspended, you know, it'll be the second game of his suspension, but there's no point having 3 right wingers sitting on the bench and you're playing a centre forward at right wing. It's basic. It makes no sense at all. If you're going to play Coney, stick him holding hands with Lukaku up front and then put a right winger out here and the left winger here and get him on the end of crosses in the box.
Definitely, yeah.
Don't put him out on the wing holding hands with Martinez and not running, because you've seen against Chelsea, as good a job as he done for the team, he lets Aspilicueta get in behind him because he's not switched on. Lennon is. And
he'll start becoming the whipping boy, because we know what football's like, we know how it all works. You know, gradually, it's when you first come into the team, like the first game of the season, everyone was like, oh, you know, he came on, he scores the goal. You get that grace period, there's a couple of good games, but people start seeing through it. It happened with Naismith last season. People start going, well, actually, what does this fella do? You know, you get that little bit of a...
He's not exactly loved anyway, is he?
No, but what I mean, but you get the grace period because he scored, and it's like the comeback.
Course,
But then it's like Naismith last season, you know, the end of the season before, he was flying, started last season well, and then he went off the boil. Like, he wasn't having bad performances, but because he wasn't scoring goals, you were looking at him going, what do you actually do? And I think that will start happening with Coney. If there's an alternative, that's when people will go, well, why is he playing and why isn't he playing? So, you know, or as I said for about the 8 million time, there's no alternative to Lukaku. Coney could go on the bench, come on, score, and then the next game you're going, well, we've got an alternative now to Lukaku. Coney can come and play. I hope it doesn't happen that way, but you know, like, no, but
you want that to happen, because what you want to do is you want them to egg each other on. So you want Coney to come on, get a goal. That builds his confidence up. If Lukaku's not playing well, he goes and sits next to Martinez, and then you have Coney as your striker, and then he might get 2 or 3, 4. We need a second striker to get 7 or 8 goals, really. You know, and then Brom to be getting 20. If Brom's not playing well, he has to feel the same as everybody else. I've got to perform here, because this fella's coming off the bench and getting on the end of things, and I need to be doing it. And then that doesn't mean we're slagging Lukaku off. It doesn't mean we're slagging Coney off. It's about, we all want the same thing. We all want Everton to be as good as they can. And to be as good as they can, they've got to have 2, 3 players who can do the job. It's not just one player. People are very precious about some players. They're very precious about Lukaku, very precious about John Stones, that he never makes a mistake. If you say he should have done better there, it's, no, but what about him? It's not about that. We all want the same thing. I want Everton to win 10-0 every game and never make a mistake. But the reality is, we're here to discuss it, and we're looking and we can see things where our only other option is playing when he really needs to be one or the other. Otherwise, play them both up front. There's no point playing Lukaku left back and going, you know, we've got Galloway there on the bench, but Lukaku's big and strong and he can run, so we're going to put him left back. You've got to go, he's a centre forward playing there. You know, and that, it's just basic stuff. And
there's no... You don't need to have any loyalty to any player, do you? You know what I mean? If they're not doing it, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Lukaku's head and shoulders better than any other striker, because there's only one at the club. So but for me, I think Lukaku will turn it around. He'll start scoring goals. But at the same time, when he's not, and he's not affecting him, and he's having stinkers, then he said it himself. He likes the competition. He likes to be pushed. He wants to be pushed. You know, that's not happening. For one reason or another. Sometimes
it does them good to just come out of it and watch the game for an hour and, you know, all right, this is the kick up the backside I needed. I need to get on here with a little bit of an edge. And if he's watching the game, he can see players' runs, he can see gaps in the team. Yeah. I remember him coming back after his injury in his first season here, and we played West Ham at home, and it was a horrible game. There was nothing in it. It was horrible. It was just, you know, going to a 0-0 draw. And he comes off the bench and scores with about 10 minutes left. And then we won. I think we went on a run and won 5 or 6 games. And he scored in most games. And all of us. And he said I had a chance to assess the game and I had a look where the gaps were. And I came on and I got on the end of things. And that sometimes freshens it up again. Builds his confidence up. Because as a centre forward, as the games are going on and you're not scoring, that goal's getting smaller and smaller. You start snatching at things. And that's where you can...
But obviously the other worry is John Stones went off against Reading, so that's going to be, I mean, hopefully, I mean, he walked off the pitch, but they got him off pretty quick. And
he'd had a bang on the knee at Swansea, hadn't he? And he was down for a bit, and you were thinking, because it looked nasty, but he finished the game, come off against Reading. You're just hoping that the 6 days rest with some ices kind of will settle it down, because, I mean, the other options are what? Funes Mori.
Well, Funes Mori, isn't it?
Will come in alongside Jags. I think we're already talking about possibly Seamus Coleman not being red. I mean, excuse me, the temptation with Coleman now is to say, like, Browning's okay defensively away from home. He's just going to win tackles and give it to in front of him. Where we've got Liverpool coming up and we're at home, and Seamus is the type of player who adds so much to our attacking side that the temptation for me would be to leave Coleman until a derby, you know, and give him that extra 10 days to get fit, you know, for the derby match. But
I'd probably feel the same about Stones, but it's because Funes Mori's not really played. You know, he's only played that one game at Reading, left back, obviously come on against Chelsea. If he played a couple more games, I'd be like, I'd think, you know, I think they'll be all right, but it's that worry, isn't it, that he is new and it's someone like... But again...
would you rather have Stones? Are we just saying it's Premier League points, or are we saying I'd rather have him against Liverpool? We're
it's
at
not
home,
that, I don't know. I'd rather he got the extra rest, I suppose, but then you think, well, Murray's going to go in against Rondon, who's a big lad, but then you think, well, he's only new to the Premier League, so maybe they'll cancel each other out. But then as you mentioned, it's like disrupting the whole back four, isn't it? And that's the worry. It's like that those two are settled. And they look great, and you just don't want anything to disrupt that.
No, because we've been fantastic, haven't we? Defensively in the opening 3 Premier League games, we've looked really good. Them 2 have been outstanding. Stones was marvellous against Swansea, read everything, you know, intercepted things. Jagielka's been fantastic as well. And you want to keep your back 4 as settled as possible. Last year, we were all over the show, weren't we? You know, the keeper was having a nightmare. The 2 centre halves didn't know what day it was. Coleman forgot he had to defend. Baines was thinking about writing songs with his guitar. It was all a nightmare. But when you look at this West Brom game now, we've got no Leighton Baines, we could have no Seamus Coleman, no John Stones. You know,
it creeps up very, very fast, doesn't it?
You know, one thing I would say, it tells you how well Galloway's done. We've not mentioned Baines being missing at all.
No,
and I'm not concerned that Baines, and this is Leighton Baines, by the way, who is marvellous, who creates chances after chance in so many games. We haven't seen him, not going to see him till Santa's been, are we? So, you know, that's what it looks like. That. Well, you say that, but you know, we might see him before if he comes in here. You know, but it might be till Father Christmas has been before we see him. And so, but that's a testament to how well Galloway's done. And Browning, you know, if he follows up the Swansea performance with another solid display, you know, that you know, bodes well for the future. But John Stones not being there is a big miss.
There is a big miss. Big miss. Prediction for the game?
I said 2-2 for Swansea, we drew, hoping that. I'd said it for Chelsea and we won. But I'm actually I think we'll win 2-1. I think it's going to be a tight game. I just think that we've got a little bit of confidence. And Lukaku's got to score sooner or later. So, and I think he scored there last year, going back to a club he's played for. I think I'm going to say 2-1 to Everton.
I'm going to go 1-0 to us. I think
lovely.
I think we can win. I think lots of confidence, and I think we can win. Jake's going for 3-2 behind the camera there with his new £25 haircut.
To who?
There you go. He's gone. Yeah, you can't see him, but he's got a lovely £25 haircut. I think he paid about
$22.50
too much. Right, tell us what you think in the comments below. On Twitter, it is at ToffeeTV1. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We are within 100, less than 100 of that 5,000 total.
Magic 5,000,
Magic 5,000, which we had pinned for the end of the season, and we're almost there, and it's still September. So
marvellous.
Get us there, and nice one for getting us there, and let's hope for 3 points against West Brom, massively needed ahead of you know what, which will be coming up soon. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. We'll see you soon.